Hello and welcome to another video on the topic of logical fallacies. We have in past discussed various fallacies such as the appeal to ignorance, appeal to authority and appeal to tradition. We have also discussed two concepts related to fallacies in Occam's razor and Brandolini's law. If you have missed any of those videos, please do check in the description and you will find the links to watch them. Today we are going to discuss a fallacy that you may not have heard before, which is the Nirvana Fallacy. Surprisingly, it is very common and I have seen it in practice a great deal. In fact, it was very much popular among a lot of people just a couple of years ago during the pandemic. So the structure of the video is as usual. I will explain the fallacy, I will describe the form and give some examples and finally discuss why some people commit this fallacy. So without any further ado, let's get into the details of the Nirvana Fallacy or the fallacy of perfection. We all wish we lived in a perfect world, but the world we live in is not perfect. There are many issues that we have to deal with both individually and collectively as a society. And we have many solutions to the problems that we face. But what if I reject them just because they're not perfect? Then I am committing the Nirvana Fallacy. Let us understand it in detail. A Nirvana Fallacy is committed when an individual rejects a solution simply because there is a better possible solution out there, or they reject a solution because it fails to solve all aspects of the problem perfectly. Hence, this fallacy is also called the Perfectionist Fallacy or the Perfect Solution Fallacy. The reason for calling it this is because the person committing this fallacy rejects anything that is not perfect. Let us look at its form now. There is a problem P. There are three possible solutions to it in A, B and C. A is not a 100% solution and B addresses 4 out of 5 issues of the problem but has some shortcomings. C is a perfect solution and so I reject A and B because they are not perfect. I fail to realize that C might be an unrealistic standard of perfection. In essence, the fallacy arises from the rejection of a proposal solely based on its imperfections without considering its merits or the fact that it might be better than the current alternative. The problem with this argument is that we reject the solution because it is inferior to a more perfect solution, and this is a false premise. There might be times when we should accept a less perfect solution because the more perfect solution is impossible, hypothetical, unrealistic or too difficult to achieve in some way. So you would have to settle for a more practical solution even though it doesn't solve all the problems or might be less effective than a perfect solution. So how did this fallacy get its name? The term Nirvana Fallacy is derived from the concept of Nirvana in Buddhism. Nirvana in Buddhism represents a state of perfect peace, enlightenment and liberation from the cycle of birth and death. It is the ultimate goal and ideal state in Buddhist philosophy. The perfection being sought is often an unattainable, flawless or non-existent solution. So the term Nirvana Fallacy serves as a metaphor to illustrate the tendency to dismiss real, practical solutions in favor of a perfect state, much like pursuing Nirvana as the ultimate and unattainable perfection in the Buddhist tradition. Let us look at some examples now. The first set of people whom I have seen use this fallacy widely are anti-vaxxers or people who are against specific vaccines such as the COVID-19 vaccine or vaccines in general. They often emphasize the imperfect nature of vaccines as a good reason for not getting vaccinated. Vaccines aren't 100% effective or 100% safe, so we should not get vaccinated. But what is the reality? Agreed, vaccines are not 100% safe and effective, but they are safe and effective. While vaccines aren't a 100% shield against diseases, it is not right to say no one should get vaccinated until every vaccine stops everyone, everywhere from getting any disease it's supposed to prevent without causing harm. Just because there is a possibility of a rare side effect, it is unwise to reject something that is proven to decrease mortality and disease severity. One of the most common tactics of anti-vaxxers is to note weaknesses, flaws, or errors in the graphs or models. No model that tries to predict the future about complex things like deaths from virus can be 100% accurate. The arguers ignore all the other scientific evidence and reasoning used to build up the case for vaccination programs. We also saw this with people who refused to wear masks during the pandemic, didn't we? Their idea was that masks don't provide 100% protection, so why should we wear them? They conveniently forget that a mask, even if it is a homemade one, which does not offer 100% protection, is still safer than wearing no mask. You can see the same logic being applied by people who refuse to wear helmets while riding a bike, or people who don't wear seatbelts while driving a four-wheeler. Flimsy excuses for rejecting what they don't want. Nirvana Fallacy in action. While helmets and seatbelts cannot make driving 100% safe, they do reduce one's likelihood of someone dying in an accident. Another example is the anti-drunk driving ad campaigns and anti-drug campaigns are not going to work. People are still going to drink and drive or use drugs no matter what. What people who say these things don't realize is that complete eradication of drunk driving or use of drugs is not the expected outcome. The goal is reduction in their numbers. Similarly, people oppose many good initiatives because they think the end results won't be perfect as they visualize it. Another group of people who use this fallacy widely are climate change deniers. They often state that until there is a perfect study proving without a doubt that human activities are making global warming worse and we have to cut down on fossil fuels or face serious consequences, we shouldn't do anything to reduce fossil fuel use. Or some may say that wind and solar energy are not perfect solutions because they can't meet all our energy needs. Therefore, we should stick with fossil fuels. No scientific study is perfect and nobody can predict the future with absolute certainty. But to ignore all the evidence that we have to prove that we are heading for a global catastrophe is foolishness. The idea that a solution must be perfect often leads to rejecting science-based medicine and surgery. No medicine can be 100% effective with 0% side effects. Anything that has an effect would have a side effect. If something is claimed to have no side effects, then rest assured it would have no effects as well. The perfect example is homeopathy. So they tend to refuse a medicine by listing all the possible things that might happen after taking it. It definitely is silly to say no to science-based medicine based on stories about people who claim they had bad side effects from a medicine. I say claim because we all know that sometimes a bad thing could happen after taking the drug. That alone isn't proof of a direct link between the two. Correlation is not causation. This fallacy also appears in the field of technology, surprisingly. Haven't you heard people say that self-driving cars are not perfect? They can still make errors on the road. Therefore, we should abandon the idea of autonomous vehicles. What they fail to get into their thick heads is that rejecting the development of self-driving cars because they are not error-free is ignoring the fact that they may still be safer and more efficient than human-driven vehicles. And finally, there are many who try to put down science because they say science can't figure out everything 100%. Those people are in fact using this fallacy without realizing. For science is the only method we know for knowing the truth and reality about the nature and the universe. It may not know everything, but what it has found out through observations and experiments, no religious book has ever been able to achieve. Science is not about building a body of known facts. It is a method for asking awkward questions and subjecting them to a reality check, thus avoiding the human tendency to believe whatever makes us feel good. The good thing about science is that it is true whether or not you believe in it. These are all examples of the Nirvana Fallacy in action. In each of these examples, the Nirvana Fallacy is evident when a less than perfect solution is rejected in favor of maintaining the status quo or waiting for an unattainable perfection. It is important to recognize that perfection is often an impractical standard, and progress should not be dismissed simply because it falls short of an unachievable goal. Please recognize that progress and improvement can still be valuable even if it is not perfect. So why do people often indulge in this perfectionist fallacy? One is a desire for perfection. Humans naturally seek perfection or ideal solutions. The idea of a perfect outcome is appealing, and the Nirvana fallacy plays into this desire for flawless results. Some individuals may fear making the wrong choice or accepting a solution with imperfections. The Nirvana fallacy allows them to avoid decisions that involve making compromises. Next, people might fall for the Nirvana fallacy when they lack comprehensive information about the available options. They often have an incomplete understanding of the benefits of a less than perfect solution, and this can lead them to an unrealistic pursuit of an ideal outcome. A vaccine may not prevent you from getting the disease, but it can certainly prevent death or serious disease conditions. There is plenty of evidence for it, but many are unaware. When presented with two options, one imperfect and one hypothetical perfect option, some individuals may choose the latter without considering the practicality or feasibility of achieving that perfection. People might focus excessively on the drawbacks of a proposed solution, magnifying imperfections and overlooking the potential benefits or improvements it could bring. Do you have any other reasons why people would use this fallacy in daily life? And have you seen this in use? Let me know in the comments. So let us summarize what we looked at today. You are on the lookout for the perfect pizza. The cheese must be flawless, the crust divine, and the toppings, oh, they have to be the epitome of pizza greatness. But here's the twist. You end up ordering nothing because no pizza meets your unattainable standards. The Nirvana fallacy is when we reject something good or practical just because it is not perfect. It is like saying, if I can't have the perfect pizza, I won't have any at all. But life, my friends, is not always perfect, and neither are solutions. But here's the thing, this fallacy has consequences. Think about it. I won't start a business until I can rival Amazon. Well, Jeff Bezos had to start somewhere too. It is like saying, I won't exercise until I become the next Olympic champion. It is setting the bar so high that even pole vaulters would struggle to clear it. At the end, it would be you who would be losing out, waiting for that perfection. So, my friends, the next time someone pulls the Nirvana fallacy card, remind them that waiting for perfection might just mean missing out on something pretty damn good. And I know that my videos are not perfect, but instead of searching for the perfect video, why don't you click subscribe and watch the 300 plus not so visually perfect but scientifically accurate content. If you like this video and found the content useful and new, please share it to spread the knowledge. Until next time, stay logical and stay awesome.